I remember concerts being like, you know, everybody's too cool to like really, you know, do anything. So when I went to the Eras Tour, they're rabid. Kids are rabid about the artists that they love now.
They're watching all the exits, they're checking everyone that leaves. There's no way to get out of here.
As somebody who saw a part of fame and celebrity in Hollywood that you sort of ended up not liking when you were in your 20s, what did you see about what Knight has done with his daughters in terms of both protecting them from that world and also at the same time sort of preparing them as artists to be able to sort of go out into the world when they were ready?
I wasn't the thing that was out of control. It was everyone else that was out of control toward me. It was a strange time in my life, but it was more that like the work that I'd been doing up until the point when people sort of saw me in a certain light, wanted me to be only playing heroic roles, was bizarre because the work that I had been doing up until then, like The Faculty, Virgin Suicides, and and they're not typically heroic characters. They're characters. And I wanted to continue doing that, and the business or the media had said that I should be something else, and therefore there was just no attempt to kind of bring an audience along or help me bring the audience along to these other things that I really wanted to do. But what's happened recently is that I've consistently kind of played these characters that I think are more interesting and offbeat, or things that you don't see every day. And because, you know, I mean, they're just movies that hopefully, like this one, are exciting and new, like not like based off of IP or like a sequel, but something that kind of makes you think in a different way. I guess the business sort of decided what directors some directors sort of decided that it was a good idea to cast me to play these disparate roles now in bigger films. So it's been like this weird trajectory where I've sort of stayed consistent, and the business decided, you know, it's all like 90% luck to our business, and like sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. Some of the roles that I played in the past I thought were going to be really successful, and they just weren't. And these days it seems like things are going in a much more successful route. And so being able to consistently work with great directors is kind of the major thing in my life, and I'm always looking for. And being able to work with Knight in this, perfect. So my trajectory was entirely different from what his daughters are dealing with, because I also didn't know anyone else in the industry. Like I didn't come from an industry family. I think he's been able to be pretty clear with them, and they've been able to see from his career, like what can happen, the goods and the bads. But also, what I love about it being a father myself, is that he's such a champion of them as artists, and not too worried about their kind of perception in the public eye or what they might be worried about. He just wants them to have all the tools to succeed artistically. And that he's a really supportive father, but he's also not someone that kind of gets in the way and meddles in everything that they do. I find that kind of inspiring, because my kids love art as well. I don't think they want to be actors, which is great. But I could see them moving in the direction of like Ishana or Salika. It's just like being musicians and filmmakers would be great. I would love if my daughters went that way.
And what do you do to support their art?
They do a lot of painting. We have like my wife likes to make pottery, so they throw pots with her, and you know, I mean, there's just we have a creative household, and we live in the countryside, and so we have animals around, and they have a nice sort of open upbringing, and I want them to find their own voices. I don't want to be kind of in the midst of, they're so young right now, I just want them to be kids. We don't have to worry about whether or not my kids will be great artists.
The thing that sort of has impressed me about Knight, he's very like unafraid of failure, and so much so that, you know, he's like mortgaging his house and sort of self-financing some of the films. And is that something you think about, I guess, the being unafraid of failure, and how do you pass that on to your kids?
I think I'm naturally unafraid of failure because I didn't expect for this to be like a lifelong career. I love making films, but my identity isn't defined by making films. Like in my own life, I have a very kind of rich life outside of the film industry, and I don't live in Hollywood. My interaction with people is not always around the basis of making films. So I don't. Of course, I love the experience of making great films. I love great directors, and I want to consistently make good films. But if things were to fall apart, or if everybody decided to, I mean, I've been there. People have written horrible things about me over the years, and like said that I was an idiot for turning down this or turning down that, and you know, it had more of an effect when I was younger, and now it's kind of expected. Like that's what people do. They build them up and they tear them down, and like it doesn't. I'm not going to let it affect me in the way that I think it would have when I was younger, or it did when I was younger.
This it slapped, Dad. Thank you. Thank you. This is literally the best day of my life.
Have you taken your kids to concerts yet? Have you experienced that awkwardness?
I took them to the Eras tour about 2 weeks ago when it came to London to see Taylor Swift, and that was the first big thing that they were interested in seeing. It was kind of what was amazing about it. I sent a picture tonight basically saying like, this is life imitating art, because when we shot the film, I felt like his characterization of the audience felt over the top to me. Like, as someone who hadn't been to a pop concert with my kids yet, I was like, these guys are way too into it. Like, people aren't like this at concerts. I remember concerts being like, you know, everybody's too cool to like really, you know, do anything. They're rabid. Kids are rabid about the artists that they love now. And it's and so when I went to the Eras tour, I watched that sort of interaction. Their intense idolizing of of Taylor Swift, and like crying when they saw her, and like all of that was just right in line with what Night created here, which I was pretty impressed by.
How you all doing? You having fun?
Woo! Come closer. What's going on, Daddy?
Open the goddamn door!
I can't get away. I can't stop. I'll just do this one last one.
Enjoy the rest of the concert.